Hello. So here we are in the first part of our adolescence discussion. This is also in the same chapter as childhood, so you can follow along that way. Nutrition during adolescent, we see female growth spurt at about 10 or 11 and male growth spurt at about 12 or 13, so guys are lagging just a little bit behind. During that growth spurt, girls are gaining about 6 inches and boys are gaining about 8 inches. Just for a reference, typically once a female gets her period, she has about 2 years of growth. And then 2 years after the start of menstruation, she'll be done growing. So we see different body compositions and changes with males and females during puberty, and a lot of that has to do with um, depositing of weight and where they're adding their weight. Females adding more fat and males adding more muscle mass. So energy and nutrient needs are varying at this time, as you can imagine. Well, if we look back at this, we can't really lump all of these into a certain age because we have a large span of when adolescence is beginning and when growth is beginning. So oftentimes we will then use the height of the child to determine their calorie and nutrient needs because where they are in the velocity of their height gives us a better picture of their needs than relying solely on their weight. We'll talk about obesity later and one of the problems that we see in adolescence. And then we also see an uptick in deficiency of vitamin D. And that can be because adolescents are consuming less milk, they have less exposure to sun, and those who have darker skin pigment, like we've talked about before, they're at greater risk for vitamin D deficiency. And then those of us here in the north, we're at risk as well, especially now that we have to stay home until May 24th. Oh, sorry. Okay, getting back on subject here. Remember in class when we looked at the front cover to look at the RDAs for energy, fiber, protein. We're going to use that for needs for adolescents. So you're going to need that for your math packet when you do the adolescence needs. Okay, we are going to focus on utilizing the height and not utilizing the weight for the needs. So I'm going to direct you to the adolescent practice calculations that you will find in Blackboard under the PowerPoints. And I'm just showing you an example here of how we're going to figure that out. Okay, Rachel, get it in there. There we go. We're just doing that, my famous cross multiplication, my favorite thing to do math-wise. So you find your individual in their height, and you determine male or female, obviously, and then you look for the RDA. And for this example, the RDA for a 68-inch male is 3,152 calories, but the patient that we're looking at is 67 inches. So we are basically doing that cross multiplication, right? So we take 67 times 3,152 and divide it by 68, and we get 3,105 calories. What I want you to do is just use your common sense and double check here, okay? If our kid is an inch less than the standard that we're comparing against, well, then hopefully when you figure out their calories, it's going to be less. And I want you to use that to make sense, okay? And we can review that too if you need more practice. But you have about 3 adolescent questions on your math packet. On here, don't forget to answer the question completely. So there's questions where it asks you to do their calorie needs and their protein needs, and it asks you to do their protein needs several